So I just got an email from Uber informing me that a rider is accusing me of doing something pretty creepy. Well, okay, not that creepy. I'm not about to catch a case right now. Don't want to raise the stakes too much. But it is such a blatant lie that honestly what bothers me most is the way that Uber is going about handling this. The fact that they would even have the audacity to send me the email in the first place with the little evidence or reasoning they have behind it is just driving me nuts. Now, this ain't my first rodeo. If you'll indulge me in a trip down memory lane of false accusations from riders, I'll tell you about the first false allegation I got, where a rider reported me for driving under the influence in an Uber pool. I knew what ride it was. I remember it specifically. It was my first ride of the day, and I hadn't had my coffee yet. So yeah, maybe I seemed a little tired, but like I mentioned, it was an Uber pool. And what I said to Uber was, can't you reach out to the other two passengers that were in the car and ask them if they felt I was under the influence? Can't I send you my dash camera footage that shows you I was driving perfectly fine and you could see on camera that I wasn't under the influence? Do you think Uber thought that would be a good and fair idea? No, they thought it would be fair to suspend me for 24 hours because every time that accusation's made, they have to do that in order to give the driver time to sober up, which is like the most ridiculous outcome if you think about it. If they actually thought I was driving Uber under the influence, don't you think I should be permanently banned? And if they didn't think that accusation was true, don't you think it's unfair to suspend me at all? Oh, that's right. Uber isn't concerned about the driver or the truth. They're just trying to cover their own ass. Got it. The second time this happened was when I got pulled over by the police and the rider reported me for being discriminatory because I got pulled over. If that doesn't make sense to you, welcome to the club. I asked Uber to explain. I offered dash camera footage, called, emailed, everything. And what do I get? I got suspended for 3 days that time. And I had to take some sort of like diversity and inclusion class that was supposed to cure me of my racism. I think there might be like one or two more minor ones that I'm forgetting. But the big one that, man, still gets me upset thinking about was a rider reported me for making them feel uncomfortable. Now, this is a really long and, in my non-biased opinion, excellent story that I cover in my book. Don't worry, audio version coming soon. But what drove me crazy about that was I hadn't driven Uber in a week. So it was obviously BS, but no matter what I said, what I fought, what dashcam footage I offered, Uber had no interest and I was suspended for 7 days. And I really needed the money at that time. I mean, it made my month really, really hard. Now, all of these things happened before YouTube, before I was an internationally known and locally disrespected Uber and Lyft driver. Back then, I was just locally disrespected. But now that I have a channel, I wanted to share this to kind of just bring to light how ridiculous the Uber reporting process is, not just for drivers, but on the rider's perspective. It's like, dude, these companies, whether you're a driver or a rider, their support is just like absolute trash. And it just makes me wonder, like, how long will we put up with this stuff until a better service comes along or it implodes or what?
So this all started with an email from Uber telling me that a rider claimed, let them know, definitive, that I contacted them after a trip, which is pretty creepy if you think about it. I mean, think about your last Uber driver randomly showing up in your text or DMs or giving you a call. Very weird.
I know it said no response needed, but I wasn't about to let that slide. It's a matter of, I don't know, reputation, for lack of a better word. It's like if I don't respond to this and then another accusation happens, it looks like it's a pattern, you know? You got to nip this stuff in the bud. And before I get into the ridiculous conversation I had with Uber support, I want to reiterate that the only reason I feel so comfortable and confident giving this pushback to Uber, honestly, I think the only reason that I haven't been deactivated from Uber despite all the allegations that I share with you is because I have a dash camera. Being able to confront these accusations with video evidence of the truth is a card that I wish everybody could have. Even when Uber says they don't want to see it, because at least they know that if push comes to shove, you have the truth on your side. And that's why I want to take a second to thank the sponsor of this video, Pelsee dash cameras, and encourage everyone out there to protect yourself with the truth, because if there is one thing liars can't handle, it's that. They can't handle the truth. They offer cameras that are super reliable, super high quality, but you don't have to break the bank to get your hands on them. The P2 is perfect for Uber and Lyft drivers, offering everything you would need to reliably record your rides while working. And if you aren't an Uber driver and simply want to protect yourself from other drivers, I was really impressed with the mirror dash camera that records in front and behind your car. I mean, it's a $100 dash camera that records in 4K. As somebody who works with dash cameras for a living, you are not going to find that kind of quality at that price point. It's super easy to install, and the touchscreen is not only super intuitive, but it's pretty freaking cool. Once again, that's Pelsee dash cameras. The link is in the description. I don't know how long that deal on Amazon is going to last, so I'd get on it if I were you.
So my eloquent response was,
"This is a blatant lie. What trip was it? I've never done that." And this is where the whole Uber feedback thing falls apart. To respect privacy, we're unable to provide specific details about the trip and the rider who reported you, as our privacy plays a big role. We keep all users' anonymity when a feedback is provided, similar to how we keep the anonymity and privacy of our drivers whenever there's feedback. Really, I know that's not true, because whenever a rider loses an item in my car, I get a call or a text from their personal number to my personal phone, which drives me nuts. It's like, I'm happy to help, but it's like, it is a little like, wait a second, you're giving out my real number to these people? And then you're going to have the gall to sit here and tell me that you keep everything anonymous? We'll be sure to take note of this and document everything. Just to clarify, we aren't accusing you of anything. Yes, you are. And jumping into a conclusion that you're the cause of this issue. Yes, you did. Please know we do not always listen on the rider's side. Feedback from the riders may not always be 100% accurate. That's why we're looking into this carefully. You're not looking into this carefully. You said initially no response needed. So you didn't care at all. And this is why I do give pushback. If anything does come up in the future, it's here, you know? While we wanted to let you know about this report, our aim was to get your perspective about this incident so that we can come up with a fair judgment on result of our... Really? Then why did it say no response needed? Stop pulling my leg, Mr. Uberman. So I said, and not just for me, but on behalf of all Uber drivers who have ever had a false accusation made up against them, do you realize how unfair and ridiculous this is? How any rider can make anything up and you don't even share what ride it was with me? Now this exchange right here, you see just how absolutely piss poor Uber service is. I'm trying to give the benefit of the doubt and play along and say, could you at least share what they said, what I tried to contact them about? Perhaps, given the benefit of the doubt, perhaps this was a misunderstanding and they confused me with another driver. But what I did was accidentally type rider instead of driver, and then I corrected it. And check this out. Your statements are duly noted. Your safety and well-being are important to us, and behavior... We've already reached your driver to further investigate this matter and completing a full review of the account to evaluate whether or not they will continue to have access to the Uber app going forward. They thought I was a rider complaining about a driver, and they said that they reached out to a driver. They said, we've already reached out to your driver to further investigate the matter. But that doesn't make any sense because there was no driver. I'm not complaining about a driver. Riddle me this, Uber. Stop bullshitting us. God damn. And looking back, I don't know if it was a bot. I kind of hope that it was, because otherwise I'd feel bad for calling the person a dummy.
But out of curiosity, I input this question into ChatGPT, asking it to imagine it was a customer service rep for a cab company named Boober that had to address the situation that we're covering here. And I'll just put the screenshots of the responses on here. You can pause it if you want to look at it. But long story short, the responses I got from ChatGPT were basically indistinguishable from the responses I got from Uber. Now, whether it's a bot or it's a third-party service that's using a bot and then modifying it accordingly, the point is this whole thing is just laughable at this point.
Now, we went back and forth a little more, me making excellent points while the Uber bot / PR service just gave absolutely nothing of substance. And one thing that did dawn on me, I mean, it's 2024. Unless the rider's saying that I went to their actual house or place of work to contact them, every form of contact is digitally logged. It could have been screenshotted and sent to Uber. Don't you think that should have been Uber's very first question to this rider to validate the claim? Oh, wait, that's right. There I go again. Uber doesn't actually care about the truth. They just care about covering their ass. Silly me. But the plot gets even thicker. What I haven't told you guys is that after I did my Uber's earning project, where I talked about how little drivers earn for Uber these days, I haven't driven for Uber, well, except for 2 rides last weekend. I thought July 4th weekend down the shore would be profitable as it has been in years past, but Uber's gotten so bad that even that was a dud. So I gave 2 rides, saw that it wasn't busy, and called it quits. And there was no way it was one of those 2 rides. The first ride was 2 dudes and we talked about the Sixers, Paul George baby. And the second was a family of 4 that was making fun of me from where I'm from, Delco. It was really funny. There's no way it was either of those 2 rides. Point is, whoever made this report hadn't been in my car for over 5 weeks. That is, if an actual person made this report. Look, I go back and forth in my head wondering how much Uber and Lyft pay attention to channels like mine. And I don't want to be that guy that thinks he's targeted or he's a victim of the powers that be. Like, let me be clear. I fully recognized how insignificant I am in the big picture. But hear me out. I just find it very peculiar that 3 days after I posted my most damning Uber video to date, even though I really haven't driven Uber in 5 weeks, I get this email. It makes me wonder if this is the beginning of them trying to deactivate me. And if it is, I wish they would. I do not consider myself a litigious individual, but if it comes to that, I will call up my cousin Vinny, gather thousands of Uber drivers that have been unfairly deactivated alongside of me, and be the lead plaintiff in a class action lawsuit that gets all of us Uber drivers a couple dollars each while the lawyers rake in millions. And it'll be the sweetest couple of dollars I ever received.
Leading up to this video, I ran a poll, and it's just so funny to me how, like I said, we are all living the same experience. Let me know in the comments of this video your stories of getting deactivated unfairly, or why you had to report your Uber driver and how Uber support handled it. I'm hoping to get enough of those stories that I can make a video reacting and sharing those comments. Thanks for watching.